So over the last 25 odd years, I've had the fortune of working with many talented individuals and being privy to their dreams and aspirations. So this is in my various roles as a corporate executive, as a leadership coach, and as an investor and a board member. Across these talented individuals, across age groups, across financial background, across social strata, I've found one common refrain. And the common refrain across these individuals and across each one of us is that we all feel that we are capable of much more, that there are hidden dimensions to us waiting to be explored, potentialities waiting to be unlocked. In some of us, this feeling takes on an explicit form, like wanting to build a great company, or wanting to develop a great product, or write a great book, make a great movie, or sing or compose a beautiful piece of music. In some of us, it's a vague notion that we are looking for a platform or milieu which will do justice to our talents. Many of you are business school students waiting to be placed, so you might want to probably be in a milieu which gives full expression to your talents. We all want to reach for the stars, but there is a catch. We all want to reach for the stars, but somehow, something seems to hold us back. If we have an idea for a startup, we seem to have financial constraints. If we act on this idea for a startup, we seem to not have the right team to implement it. If we are in a job, we feel that there is this dream role within the organization which is out of reach because of office politics. Or, we are just stuck with so much of firefighting on a day-to-day basis that we don't have the time and energy to actually aspire for a leadership role. Something seems to hold us back. Something about the way we lead our daily lives seems to tie us down, box us in. Even those of us who aspire to give vent to our creative ambitions, like music or art, we're just so bogged down with day-to-day deadlines and targets and time pressure that we don't have the time for it. Something seems to hold us back. Something seems to box us in. I was no exception to this. I began my career in the equity markets with the global investment banks. It was an exhilarating roller coaster ride. It has its ups and it has its downs. You're as good as your last call. Your career literally depends on a stock price chart. I moved on to the world of private equity, where I helped invest over $1 billion in various companies. And yet, through all this niggling feeling was still there at the back of my mind, that there is more to me, something remaining unlocked. I tried dabbling in photography, cinematography, but the moment these pursuits required more commitment, I seemed to lose steam. I had this inspiration to write since my childhood, and I would write on and off, but it would be like 2-3 pages, and then 3 months gap, and then 2-3 pages again, and then 3 months gap. That doesn't help make a book, right? And then, about 10 years ago, I had my aha moment, or actually, I would say a series of aha moments. So there was this 2-year period when I was taking a lot of flights, to be precise, about 300 flights in 2 years. And in these flights, I was able to tune out the external noise. I was able to tune out the emails and the conference call requests and the WhatsApp forwards and Twitter and all that. And I was able to tune into my inner compass. This also happened to be the same time that I restarted my mindfulness meditation practice, which I had learned during my undergraduate days. Somewhere in this external silence and this tuning into my inner compass, I realized that there's a whole different way of looking at life, a whole new inner paradigm, and the secrets of this paradigm slowly started opening themselves up to me. Interestingly, the concepts behind this paradigm are no different from what I had read in my undergraduate days when I had the fortune of reading the Upanishads and some of the Buddhist and Taoist texts. But now, as a practitioner, these concepts came alive to me. So the next few years were transformational for me. From the comfort of investment committee meetings and corporate boardrooms, I moved on to write 2 thrillers and a 3rd and 4th one now on the way. I wrote and spoke extensively about mindfulness, which is a topic which is very dear to me. And as someone who runs a leadership coaching venture, I work with a lot of individuals to help them realize their dreams. All of these areas might seem unrelated, writing fiction, investing, leadership coaching, mindfulness. Yet to me, they all stem from the same core, which is this inner paradigm. So what is this inner paradigm, and how can it help each one of you unbox your life? There are a few elements to it. The first element is to tune out the noise and the chatter. So during my undergraduate days, I had attended this mindfulness meditation retreat. This was 29 odd years ago. One of the attractions was the free food and free lodging, but this was 10 days of no phones. There wasn't social media at that time. No phones, no newspapers, no talking even. No external stimulus whatsoever. The funny thing was, despite all this external silence, I realized that my mind was really noisy. There's just so much chatter going on in the mind all the time. And this chatter translates into clutter in our daily lives. Social commitments, which are many times superfluous, some WhatsApp argument going on with somebody, social media, sometimes even workaholism, right? We take on more work than is needed instead of delegating, we micromanage. We fill our lives with clutter. We fill our lives with clutter because somewhere we are afraid of coming face to face with our dreams and committing to them. There is this beautiful saying in this ancient Chinese book called the Tao Te Ching. Tao means the universal spirit, the universal truth. It says, in the pursuit of the Tao, you shed something every day. Shed something every day. It will make you freer and lighter. That brings us to the second element of this inner paradigm, which is to let go of this myth of the magic bullet. We all believe in this magic bullet which will take care of all our problems. If you're an entrepreneur, you feel that the next funding round is the magic bullet. After that, all will be fine. But the truth is that most venture-backed startups, not most, but a large percentage of them fail. Many of you are business school students. You're looking forward to your placements. You might feel that there is this dream job out there, and once you get the dream job, all problems will be sorted out. As an investor, I know many of my friends who feel that there is this one multi-bagger stock which will give them huge returns in a short time period and set them up for retirement, in your 30s or 40s or whatever age people want to retire these days. Somewhere in this desperation to find this multi-bagger stock, they will make a lot of dubious investments, act on stock tips and actually end up losing money. There is no magic bullet. It's great to have goals, but it's not great to cling to them so hard because you want to escape something in your present. So the question is, if you don't cling to this magic bullet, then what do you work towards? And that brings us to the third element of this inner paradigm. You work towards mastery. What is mastery? It basically means don't let the tail wag the dog. If you're a business school student preparing for placements, don't spend too much time on 3 hacks to crack your interview or 4 shortcut tips to impress your interviewer. All that is fine, but spend your time just developing a genuine understanding of the field that you want to work in and developing the right temperament and capabilities which will make you irresistible to a hiring manager. If you're an entrepreneur, it means setting up the right culture in your company so that employees love to come to work and love to develop great products and be their creative selves. That's what mastery is about. It's about focusing on the mindset, focusing on the process, focusing on the journey rather than the destination. The outcome will take care of itself. In a way, that's what the Bhagavad Gita also says, right? Karmanyeva adhikaraste, which means really focus on the journey rather than the destination. There is this saying which is quite popular these days, fake it till you make it. If you actually work towards mastery, you can make it without having to fake it. That brings us to the fourth element of this inner paradigm, which is to accept yourself. There is a reason why this magic bullet and this clutter and noise exists in our life. It's because we are really scared to look deep within, because then we might come face to face with our frailties. We'll have to accept ourselves, warts and all. And that is a daunting prospect. So I used to think of myself as a perfectionist. But this habit came to bite me when I started writing my book, my first book. whenever I would write something, I would feel so dissatisfied and disappointed with it that it would put me off and I would end up procrastinating. It took me some time to realize that perfectionism and procrastination are actually smoke screens because we are really afraid to fail. The fear of failure is what is manifesting as perfectionism. Once you give yourself the freedom to fail, your creative instinct opens up. Your creative instinct opens up, and then words start flowing smoothly. There is this famous American inventor, right? Thomas Alva Edison, and it said that he spent, he tried a few hundred times to find the right material for the filament of the electric bulb. And somebody asked him, what have you achieved so far? And he said, well, I've found a few hundred ways that don't work. Once you give yourself the freedom to fail, opportunities start opening up. In a few months, Edison had found the right material. So the next time you take up a project or an initiative, do yourself a favor. Give yourself the freedom to fail. It will give you wings. The fifth element, which is to move away from dopamine addiction. Quick show of hands, how many of you check your phone the first or second thing after you wake up in the morning? I see a lot of hands going up. How many of you check your phones if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the washroom or drink water or whatever? Again, a lot of hands going up. We are all addicted to dopamine. And this, unfortunately, also starts informing our life choices. If you are a business school student, you would be tempted to take up the highest paying job, and there's nothing wrong with making money, but you also need to pay attention to whether this job will give you maximum exposure, maximum opportunities for learning, for growth, and so on. If you're an entrepreneur, there's a temptation to accept the highest valuation offer from a venture capitalist. But that may or may not be the right thing for your company. What you need to look for is a meeting of minds, a meeting of hearts. If you are a stock market investor, there is this temptation to speculate, oil prices are going to triple, let me buy this stock and make 4 times my money in the next 12 months. There's this great temptation to do that. But instead, if you focus on finding the right company with the right management and holding on, you might actually make much more money. In the last 10 or 15 years, investing in an Apple or an HDFC Bank stock, which are hidden in plain sight, would have made you far more money than taking these unnecessary speculative risks. So move away from dopamine addiction. But it's not easy because, a lot of social media influencers these days tell you that once you start following your passion, everything is a bed of roses. It's not a bed of roses. It's a lot of hard work. As a writer, I can testify that the process of drafting and redrafting and going through editing, multiple edits, is excruciating. Ernest Hemingway apparently wrote the ending of his masterpiece, A Farewell to Arms, 40+ times. But it's all worth it. It's all worth it because once you move beyond being addicted to dopamine, you will start leading an immersive life. You will start gravitating towards activities which are immersive. And that brings us to the next element of this inner paradigm, which is embracing the power of flow and intuition. Once you start doing immersive activities, you'll start seeing a lot of changes happening within you. You'll start seeing that you function in tune with the natural, organic rhythm of your body and your mind. You'll start doing things in a way that it aligns with the natural, productive hours of the day. For me, it's the morning, which is most creative, so I reserve creative work for that time of the day. You will also start enjoying work which is done without interruption. When you do work without interruption, you're able to go much deeper, and you suddenly realize that there are dimensions of your personality which you didn't even know existed, which start coming into play. When I wrote my second book, Agniban, a bunch of strange things came together. There was something I read in my undergraduate days about superconductivity and about electronic warfare. There was a book I'd read on Egyptian history. There was some stuff I had read about cryptography, and there was this concern I had about climate change. All these things came together: cryptography, climate change, Egyptian history, superconductivity. It's almost like my conscious mind didn't actually do any work. Somewhere, something deeper in my mind was joining the dots. When you do that, what it means is that the right brain and left brain, the proverbial subconscious and unconscious and conscious, all seem to come together. and magic starts happening. Magic starts happening because you start tapping into the power of your instinct and your intuition. When that starts happening, seemingly unconnected things actually start connecting. In my case, for instance, coaching, writing fiction, investing, mindfulness don't seem like different activities because somewhere in my mind, in the deeper parts of my mind, it's the same principles of the inner paradigm at work in all of these. Once you start unleashing the power of this instinct and intuition, magic starts happening. You then start tapping into the greater wisdom, the reservoir of creative energy of the universe. You're no longer boxed in. You're no longer tied down. You're free. Free to tap into the potentialities and the opportunities and the possibilities that life has to offer. I'll end by quoting something which was said by Thich Nhat Hanh, the famous monk. He said, "Because you are alive, everything is possible." Just take a second to reflect on these words. Because you're alive, everything is possible. Thank you.